welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Vitali Z, Colton James, BG, Survive the Spin, FE Patriot, Thomas van der Zander, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Sea Level Cultist, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twadwazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMels24, Unamento, M, Iron26, Endless, Golden McKinnon, Retro Bill, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Young Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Up a whole new email account.
I don't know, Neil. Are you serious? Are you asking me how to set up email? I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You're supposed to know everything.
Me?
You're Nathan Oakley.
I don't know, Neil.
Something that won't come back to this phone. Like I tried to reset up a whole new account for Instacart because them bastards just deactivated me. They don't even hear appeals. You think politics service bad? Oh.
Okie
Port, right? When they start the descent here, it means the airport is in scale. When it's in scale, you have to go over and back across the page, and you can't see the whole lot at one time. So it doesn't matter. It'll be the same thing. So from G up to H is 36,000 feet, right? This red line. This little black line underneath it is 1,000 feet. So that means if H is where the airplane is, that's top of descent, the airplane is flying at 37,000 feet. Now, if the airport here, right, that it wants to land in and at, right, if that airport is almost at sea level, then that means that we subtract the 1,000 feet from the 37,000 feet, right? Because the pilot wants to end up 1,000 feet above the elevation of the airport. And if the airport is at sea level and they're flying at 37,000 feet, obviously they calculate for 36,000 feet, right? So how that calculation works, there's two ways, but the basic way is, right, you will put in 36,000, right, and you divide that, right, by 300, right? And that'll give you the distance that will give you the distance that you must start descending at, right, at an average of 3 degrees. So the average is 3 degrees, right? This will give you the distance for 36,000 feet at which you must start descending to end up above 1,000 feet above the airport, right? So, right, so
Nathan
equals 120. Now I'm using statute miles. Normally they use nautical.
Yes.
we're past Easter. I wanted to know if the book had hit the market.
No.
Copy that. Any
What you doing
timeline?
here? Take a walk. Who cares? We don't care what you got to say. When it comes out, it comes out.
That's not very nice, Neil. Why are you being so nasty?
This is the prick, the Prick.
Oh, Neil.
Okay.
I hurt you. I hurt you again, Neil.
I don't get hurt.
You sound hurt.
I just don't associate with people that ain't real. You've
You just
demonstrated
associated with me.
that you're not real.
You just did that.
You're a prick. What are you still doing here?
I was trying to ask Nathan about the book. I
When it
didn't come
hits
here
the
to talk to
shelves
you.
or the social media, you'll know about it. Then you could read the book. and maybe you'll get educated.
Or I could show up to Discord, which is a publicly accessible channel, and I can ask Nathan directly.
Nobody wants you there except
Perfectly
the
reasonable.
people that
Can you cut it
befriended
out?
you.
It's perfectly reasonable. He's asked me. It's taken longer than expected. However, I kind of have mitigated for that. That is to say, I've started flogging microphones to try and make ends meet while we're writing the book because it's taking considerably longer. I'd hoped that I'd already be on a campaign trail promoting it by now. And not only would it be generating revenue, the book itself, but the process of getting out there to talk about it would also be a shot in the arm to my YouTube channel. Now, neither of those two things are currently happening, so I've had to mitigate for that by starting to retail items, which is something in years gone by, many years gone by, I used to do as a job. So I now have to do it in a pinch to keep the lights on while we're writing the book. So it's taking longer than expected, which is, from what I've spoken to other authors about this process, that's always the case. If it wasn't the case, it wouldn't be any good. I've heard things like that said to me, you know, making me feel better probably, but ultimately it is just taking a long time to get it really, really good. And it is really, really good. And it will be very, very polished when it comes out. So I don't mind mitigating by flogging microphones, as the case may be. In the meantime, I don't want to do it forever.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Hey, Goat.
Afternoon, Nathan. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Good to hear. Yeah, I'm great. Thank you.
Jolly good. We were in the middle of a bit of Brian. Should we carry on?
Yeah, let's go.
I'm using statuette, right? So just so nobody's confused. You can do it with nautical. It's the same thing. Whatever nautical is in 120, divide 120 by 1.1508 and you get the nautical. It's all the same distance, just different units. So, right, so this orange line is 120 miles, right? The slope here is of 3 degrees because when you divide the altitude you're determining for by 300, it's pre-assuming a 3-degree descent angle, right? Now, that means that that is how they do it. Literally, that is how they do it. And you can see I have that. I showed that from Google in my last video. That's how they do it. That's just a rule of thumb. There is another way where they divide by 1,000 and multiply by 3, right? But this way, I think, is more commonly used, or because it's this way is worked around a 3-degree descent, right? Basically, with the other way, you may not have a 3-degree descent. You could have a 2-degree descent or a 4-degree descent. But with this way, with the divide by 300.
I don't know how he does it, to be honest. I don't know how Brian does this. Now, I enjoyed listening to this earlier. I've already watched this. But as he's going through this, everything he's talking about is with respect to that baseline on the triangle, not the curved earth. Every description, every terminology, every phrase, every axiom. They're all related to a flat earth. But Brian, somehow, can talk around that and ask him, with all of these flat earth prerequisites in tow, how's that work on a globe? With a picture of a globe below it. You're like, how'd you I couldn't do this anymore. I honestly don't think, I'm stuttering just thinking about it. I haven't got the mental capability to do this dance anymore. I don't think I've got it within me. Brian's still got it in him. But I couldn't do this. Just laying it out with the terminology, my mind stops at the point that, well, we're going to need a flat earth to describe this, to ask them how they'd do it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That'll give you a distance that's pre-assuming a 3-degree descent on average, right? So, things to take into account, right? If the airplane is at the top of the descent at H, and it wants to be here 1,000 feet above the airport, yeah, right? And it's taking an average of a 3-degree descent angle, right? Then that pilot must start descending, and their top of descent must start, right, at G, which is 120 statute miles away from the airport. So that means that when the pilot does do this and descends towards the airport, that once they've reached 120 horizontal miles, right, statute miles, right, then they will be 1,000 feet above the airport. This is what they do, right? Now, I'm not saying there's not other things like wind taking account.
But that's it. That's game over. In that statement, that's it. There is no further point to make. Earth is flat in the statements he's just made, if they hold true. Now, I'm saying if they hold true because Brian has made it categorically clear that they do hold true. Earth must be flat for this to work. For him to just describe it requires a flat Earth to describe it from.
And different speeds and different things. I'm not saying that. Right? I'm not arguing with any of those things. Right? My point is that they are dealing with a calculation that is dealing with a 120 statute, for this instance, a 120 statute mile horizontal distance. That's the point, right? Which means that for them to end up 1,000 feet above the airport, right, when they start the descent here, it means the airport here cannot be down here on a globe, because they will not be 1,000 feet above the airport. As I showed in my last video, the one I link, if they did that, the airport would be 1.837 miles below them. So that's not 1,000 feet, is it? That's like you're talking 8, 9, 10,000 feet, whatever it is, right? Right? Because you have 1.837 miles. So this is what brings them to 1,000 feet above the airport, this exact calculation. So how could they be flying over a curved surface if for that 120 miles, right? Once they do the calculation and they travel 120 miles horizontally, how could the Earth be a globe and the airport be 1,000 feet below the altitude of the plane?
It can't, and to describe the feet at all, you need a surface level to describe it from. So he's got these axiomatic paradoxes that he's asking the ballers to square. You can't. That's the bottom line. You can't. You can't even describe it without the flat Earth that you need to describe it with to ask them how it might not work, given the differential that he's just laid out. But just to describe the height, you need a flat Earth to do it. The distance in statute miles, you need a flat Earth for all of this. It's utterly pathetic to even ask, Brian. Why are you even asking? Right, it's just silly. You need a flat Earth for all of it.
When I finish this, it can't be. The Earth has to be flat for this to happen. There is no way.
I take it all back. He was seconds away from saying what I've just said. Take it all back.
Out. So the main thing here is twofold. There's 3 points I want to make. Number one, this can't happen if the Earth's a globe. So the pilots can't be using this way of landing and descending. It should say descending, because the landing will happen once they reach to about 1,000 feet above the airport. But this function of descending, this can't happen. This calculation, this formula, can't be used and doesn't work if the Earth's a globe. But if the Earth is flat, it works perfect. And this is what they use all the time. Right now, in Heathrow Airport in London, in O'Hare Airport in Chicago, John F. Kennedy Airport in New York, and LAX in Los Angeles, and every other airport everywhere, right, there's pilots calculating using this exact formula and ending up, right, basically where they need to be at the altitude above the airport they need to be at. Right? That's what they're doing. Right? So, first of all, take that into account. Secondly, right, the adjacent, right, when they're doing this calculation, the adjacent is orientated towards the ground. See this yellow line? That's the adjacent of the triangle. The purple line is the hypotenuse, and the red line is the opposite. This orange line, which is the adjacent, is orientated towards the ground, and it's parallel to sea level, right? And it's parallel to the altitude of the airport. Now, it doesn't matter if the airport is not at sea level. If the airport is higher, they're obviously not going to calculate for 36,000 feet. If they want to be 1,000 feet above the airport they're landing in is 3,000 feet high. They're going to take 4,000 feet from 37 and calculate for 33,000 feet or whatever, right? The point being is that we're pre-assuming that the airport is close to sea level, like with the Los Angeles LAX airport. It's close to sea level. So for that instance, from 37,000 feet, right, they'd be using this calculation from 120 miles away, statute miles. I know because I've been on the flights into LA, and it is literally what they say. At the distance away, you're talking 120 miles, the descent starts. We've all been in the plane. We all know what happens. You have to strap in, all that kind of stuff. All the trolleys have to be put away. You have to have your seatbelts on, blah, blah, blah. All the staff must be, the stewardesses and all that, they must be in their seats with the seatbelts on, right, for descent, right? It's not just for landing, it's for coming and for descent. And often that's like a half an hour before they actually land, right? So a plane that's flying 500 miles per hour could slow down to 300 or 250, and they would easily then cover that horizontal distance in a half an hour when they're coming in at their descent. The point is that they will be parallel to the elevation of the airport. So it doesn't matter if the airport is 3,000 feet above sea level. That means that from their point when they start the descent, that the airport elevation must be parallel to the adjacent that they're calculating with, and both of those must be parallel to mean sea level. But that can't happen if the Earth's a globe, as I pointed out. Now, so we have two things. Number one, this can't happen if the Earth's a globe, right? You cannot use this formula, this calculation, this way of using trigonometry in this fashion if the Earth's a globe, because it doesn't work, obviously, right? Number one. Number two, the adjacent is orientated towards the ground. This is very important, right? Right. This is what they do in reality all the time. So that means it's orientated towards mean sea level, and so is the airport altitude, orientated towards mean sea level, right? So both of these are orientated towards mean sea level, and the orange line is orientated towards the Earth, basically, right? Third point is this requires parallel zeniths. So the zenith from the airport and the zenith up to the plane, if we just use even the 1,000 feet point, right? It doesn't matter whether it's this or if we add on one here. The point is that they will be parallel. They won't be divergent, so they won't be meeting at the center of a sphere out. They will be parallel. There is no if, buts, or maybes about it. They must be parallel for this process to happen. So that means the plane is not flying around the globe at any point prior to this, right, or after this. It's flying over a flat plane. But people like that guy Trevor Austin, right, and other losers on our opposing side want to claim different. Now, they have no proof. They keep getting, I keep, and others, people, keep producing the evidence that they're talking rubbish, right, as I'm doing now. But they keep on wanting to argue. So, okay, if the Earth is a globe, then this is how you're going to have to calculate it. Now we're going to see, right, we're going to see now if they can prove that globe. If the Earth's a globe, you cannot calculate, right, from the top of descent, right, like we calculated before, right, in the same exact way, to be 1,000 feet above the airport. Because if the Earth's a globe, right, the elevation of the airport is going to match this point here in an arc, right? So this is where the airport is going to be, right? 1,000 feet above the airport will be here, but 1,000 feet above it will be here. So what they must calculate for, if I just get, let me see, just give me tools, annotate, and line, right? I'm just going to bring that down to about that, maybe a little bit more, about that, right? So what they must calculate for is if, right, that's their altitude and they're 36,000 feet, right? 37,000 feet above this point on the globe, right? That means 1,000 feet up, they're 36. If they make a tangent at 36,000, well, so they won't be able to make a tangent at that because it won't be touching the globe, so I'll put it down here. So that means from this point here, that this tangent is touching, right, that they're going to be 37,000 feet directly above that point. 1 second. Sorry, dry throat from talking. Right, but they're 37,000 feet above this tangent. Below this tangent, behind this tangent, and the point at where the airport will be, right, that airport is not going to be 37,000 feet below their point because they're 37,000 feet and another 1.8 plus miles above the airport, as I showed before. So what they're going to have to do is they can't calculate for 37,000 feet, removing the 1,000 feet. What they must do, I'll just remove that line, is they must take the 36,000 feet that they will be calculating for, and they must add that to the amount of feet in 1.837 or 1.837 miles, right? They must add that, right, to that. So that gives them 45,700 feet that they have to calculate for, not 36,000 feet. So they're calculating for this situation on a globe to happen, they have to calculate for almost 10,000 more feet. I'll show you what happens there, right? Now, before I go into that, what I must point out is, before I do that, and what they must do is they must orientate the adjacent towards the sky. So the adjacent is orientated towards the sky. For this to happen, they must do that, right? They can't orientate it towards the ground because it won't work. They must orientate the adjacent towards the sky and fly along the hypotenuse this way, right? So opposite to the adjacent. They must, right, if you know what I mean, they can't orientate that towards the ground and do the calculation because it won't work, right? They can only do that if the earth is flat. Then they can calculate for 37,000 feet, removing the 1,000 feet and dealing with the 36,000 feet. But on a globe, they must add the extra, right? So if I take, right, what is it, 45,700, so 45700, and I divide that by 300, that'll give us 152.33 miles. So let's just say 152 miles, right? So that means that 152, almost 153 miles away from the airport, they must start their descent. And their slope of descent, if anyone wants to care to do the maths, I'm not going to do it all now because I don't want this video to be too long, even though it'll be long anyway. It will be 3.252 degrees. So instead of it being a 3 degree, it's going to be 3.25, right? Because they won't be able to have that, they need to have a 3.25 degree angle, right, of descent, and it needs to last for 152.33 miles. Now, the problem with that is this. In reality, for an average of 3 degrees of a descent, they'll be using 120 statute miles, not 152 statute miles. What it actually means is that for a globe, right, to exist, and for them to do this descent, right, they've got to start almost 33 miles, 33 miles, right, prior to when they do have to start in reality doing their descent. So the top of descent has to be almost 33 miles prior to when they do it in reality. Now, this is the problem. This is the challenge that's going out there to any commercial pilot, right, who wants to try this. If you want to prove it's a globe, then you've got to, this is the only way you can calculate it for a globe. This is it. There is no other way. This is the only way it'll work. So if you want to prove you're flying over a globe, then you've got to start your top of descent, 153 miles, statute miles, before the airport, if you're flying at 37,000 feet, right? We'll use the challenge as 37,000 feet, calculating, you'll be, right, using the 36,000 with the extra 1.8 whatever miles. You've got to start your descent at 153 miles away, right? And it's got to be 3.25 degrees. This is the challenge. Now listen closely, everyone. If the Earth's a globe, then they will be able to descend at 3.25 degrees, right, for 153 miles and end up 1,000 feet above the airport, if the Earth's a globe. If the Earth is flat, what will happen is they'll have to pull up because they'll be crashing into the ground, because they'll be hitting the ground, which will be, just going to get, right. This will be Earth if it's flat, right? But they would try and claim to be a tangent. What will happen is their slope rate is going to intersect, right? Because they're going to start their top of descent 30 plus miles prior to when they would do it in reality, and their their degrees is going to be slightly more than the average of 3. Their average is going to have to be 3.25. So the only way for them to reach 1,000 feet above the airport and it be a globe is that they've got to travel 100 and start their top of descent with this angle 153 miles away from the airport. Now, if they end up 1,000 feet above the airport, they've proven a globe. But they won't. They'll end up heading towards the ground and have to pull up. They'll either smash into the ground or they'll have to pull up because this does not work. So there you go. This is the challenge. You're claiming it's a globe, then get into your airplane, right? Get into your airplane, right? Do the maths this way because this is the only way it works for a globe. It will not work the other way. The other way, the way they use in reality, only works for flat earth, only proves the flat earth. If you're claiming it's a globe, then this is how you must do it. There is no other way that's going to work. This is how you must do it. You must calculate for 153 miles away for 37,000 feet. That's the only way you can do it with a 3.25 the slope angle. And you have to do that. You have to go that whole distance, right, with that slope angle and then up 1,000 feet above the airport. But we all know that won't happen because we all know you'll smash into the ground before you ever reach that. Because you'll be 30 miles or whatever it is, maybe more, right, too far away from the airport because the Earth's flat. And if you were to do it correctly, you would end up doing that, right? And you would end up 1,000 foot above the airport. So they cannot travel 120 statute miles for 37,000 feet. For 37,000 feet, well, for them it has to be an average of 3.25 degrees. They have to have 153 miles of top of descent glide path. They cannot have 120 statute miles for 37,000 feet. So if they're claiming it's a globe, and you're really claiming it, then here is your challenge. This is a do or die situation. If you're claiming, prove your globe. Get in that airplane and prove your globe. Right? Adhere to these mathematics. Don't come up with anything new. Adhere to this altitude. Adhere to these mathematics. Because these will work. These will work if there's a globe. The exact mathematics there of 153 miles and a slope of 3.252 degrees, right? They will work, right, for 37,000 feet. You will end up, if it's a globe, 1,000 feet above the airport. If it's a globe, if it's not a globe, you better pull up fast because you're going to be heading to the ground very fast. Just letting you know. Because what's going to happen is 30 miles before you're hitting the airport or whatever, you're going to be hitting the ground. Just letting you know. But if you really believe it's a globe, then you get in that airplane and you do it. Let's see you prove your globe. Come on, take on the challenge. Let's see what you're made of. Do it. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. That it? Well, hello. We'll get on with the show, I guess. We have had Brian's video from today playing in the pre-show, so that hopefully we can discuss it now. Everyone's all warmed up and has listened to that during the pre-show. So if you are one of my members, you'll obviously get a better idea of what's about to happen in terms of the discussion that takes place in this live show. Now, I'm fortunate enough that I was sat around while Adam yelled at Brian. I just got to be honest, that's what happened, and got annoyed with him as they went through the process of formulating a question to put to the ballers. Now, before Brian got here,
That's inaccurate.
okay, well,
Yeah, that is inaccurate.
well, yeah, then make it accurate.
Adam was not yelling at Brian. Adam was misunderstood what was going on when he entered and what he was asked to do, which I don't think he was asked to do anything. Right, Brian?
Yeah, I think Adam thought I was just running it past him. I just said, like, Adam, I think, thought I was asking something I didn't ask him. And then I was trying to get my point across to him, which was becoming frustrating. Either way, it was a mess.
Well, in any event, in the pre-show we were going through it, and I was pointing out that a lot of the things you're asking of the ballers are based in axioms that literally after I'd pointed it out in critique, you say it 1 second after I press the play button. In other words, you're acutely aware of the axiomatic principles of a flat Earth that they must utilise to just move forward in even talking to you. You know what I mean? Let alone answering this. They haven't got a hope in hell.
Well, the challenge is that I showed them geometrically. Now, I have to admit, when I listened to it there, I was a bit frustrated this morning when I was making it. So I should have probably waited and calmed down. I was a bit angry about something. But I showed them geometrically what they must adhere to. In other words, they cannot use the formula that's normally used, because that won't work on the globe, as I showed in my last video when I showed in this one. They must use what I showed, and they must use trigonometry in that way. And they must use, for that altitude, that's the distance they're going to have to deal with. So basically it means they're going to have a bigger slope, right? Bigger descent grade and a greater distance for them to even in any way meet the standard. But what's going to happen is, if they take on that challenge and they take on one of them, like whoever gets in an airplane, gets to 37,000 feet, and then calculates, where they're going to have to be for an airport, and uses that, what I show, what's going to happen is they're going to end up more or less careering into the ground, you know what I mean, 30 miles before they ever get to an airport.
Yeah,
Or
what you're
more,
saying
maybe.
is the claim is that there's a void opening up ahead of them. Well, if there isn't, they're going to hit the ground. Simple as that.
That's kind of it, basically. It's like the maths that are normally used and the way trigonometry is normally used within aviation for the descent, for what's called the glide path, right? That will only fit a flat Earth. It will not fit. It requires parallel zeniths. It requires trigonometry. It requires the adjacent to be horizontal, to be parallel with mean sea level, and that requires mean sea level to be a horizontal plane of reference. It cannot work on a globe. I gave them how you can make it work on a globe. So try that in reality. If it works, it's a globe. If it doesn't, try to walk away from the argument. It's that simple. It's a cut and dry thing. It's either is or it isn't.
Yeah, but there'll be casualties if they try.
Well, there won't be, because the pilot is put up. The pilot is not going to smash into the ground. But what's going to happen is the pilot is going to realise, look, no pilot's going to even attempt it. Yeah. No one's going to attempt that. No one's going to try and do that. It's impossible. You know what I mean? You can't do it. What they want to be able to do is hijack what's normally used and somehow say everything's okay. No, everything is not okay at all. You cannot use the trigonometry in the way it's been used and claim a globe. That only proves a flat Earth. That's the problem. So it's either go out and do it and prove that it's a globe, or just shut up about it. It's that
I like it.
I got there early and I saw that there was hardly any comments, if not one, I think there was, when I got there. So I thought, I was in an animation class that my eldest daughter sits in, so I was like, this is actually quite convenient. I can sit and watch this. So I did, and I time-stamped it. I don't know if you noticed, probably not. But in any event, I'm going through it, right? Every time there's a prerequisite flat Earth, I'm going to put a little timestamp. And then by the time, I think it was about the 16-minute mark, you actually start laying it out as a challenge to ballers. So I thought, we'll start a new message and timestamp that as specifically where the ballers need to come in and address this. Whereas you've just put it, deal with this or shut up, right? And by shut up, I don't mean Brian doesn't mean, let's not take Valor here, as in shut up about a ball is what Brian means when he says shut up, not just as in leave Brian alone, as in shut up about your ball. It's nonsense. It is. There's a lot of flat Earth prerequisites in there. I'm going to be sounding like a stuck record if I go through them all, hence me time-stamping them in my comment, along with a separate comment that points out where the challenge begins at about the 16-minute mark.
Yeah, because I have to go through a heap of stuff before I could even get to the challenge. It should really only be a couple of minutes of a video, but it ended up being 36 minutes simply because all the nonsense I have to go through before I get there. And the explaining I have to do. And there was even another, I linked it in the description, a write-up, a website talking about how trigonometry is used in aviation. And I was going to go through that, but time was going on, so I just linked that in the description. But the point being is this. If it's a globe, they can't, basically, The only way it can work geometrically is how I show. So they either go and do that, and it turns out to be a globe, right? Or they show it up a bit. It's that simple. There is no middle ground for them. It's that simple, you know. But we all know what's going to happen. It's not a globe, so what they need to do is not going to work. It's right, but if that's the only way that we can get our point across, is to force them into a life and death situation for them to learn that seems to be after 10 years of our time in fire, then that seems to be what we need to do. We need to put them into reality and go, now do the things that fit a globe and see what happens. What will happen is the pilot will have to pull up on the joystick because the plane will be going at an angle into the ground, 30 miles before they ever see any airport. There's no way around it for them.
I just had word in. Apparently, the world's so big they treat it as flat in this regard.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start taking the piss out of them with that from here on forward. Right? Is it so big it's flat? Is that what it is?
Well, do you know what I even made? The video I made prior to that, right? I was addressing the whole trigonometry thing again. The reason I made that is because they were all trying to ignore my complete destruction of their horse manure about horizontal changing its own orientation in relation to itself. I destroyed that last year, and I destroyed it years ago again, but last year I destroyed it. But they were all trying to pretend that didn't happen. So this is a different way, doing the same thing, but in a different way, where if horizontal was a tangent, and at each point, the tangent changed its orientation in relation to the last tangent, then there's absolutely no way, not that I ever thought it was, but this is the nonsense argument they're trying to put out there. There's absolutely no way that at that point they can use trigonometry to deal with descent in the way they do it. It's impossible. If that was the case, then it would be impossible. Because if the Earth was a sphere, what they do and the way they do it, they couldn't do it. It just wouldn't work. As I showed, from a 37,000 feet of an altitude, they'd end up at 1.837 miles too high when they're finished their descent. So that's not much of a descent, is it?
Well,
but
it is. But you, for all practical purposes, to describe it in the language you've just used, you need to describe it with respect to a plane. The altitude itself, how much it's descending, is all described with respect to a plane, isn't it? Axiomatically tied to it. There's no getting away from it.
But that's the problem. They want to claim one thing, but then use this other thing, right? They want to claim that they're the globe, but then use this trigonometric function that might have an adjacent that could be 120 and more. It could be up to 100, more than 120 statute miles, and still act as if everything is kosher. It isn't kosher. You know what I mean? You can't just ignore flight data and ignore the trigonometry that you're going to use for takeoff and landing. Takeoff is another argument because there's other elements in that I'm not talking about yet. It's like you can't do all that and then go, it's a globe. No, it's not. It's not a globe. It's over. It isn't a globe. I don't know how much more
they ignore their own geometry,
need.
Brian. They ignore their own geometry, and they just want a ball. It doesn't matter how big it is. It doesn't matter if it adheres to the geometry that they should be claiming.
Yeah, they just want to. They want to increase the radius when it suits them. Do you know what I mean? It's like, do you understand this? Do you know what I mean?
The magically expanding ball.
Yeah,
that's what they want.
The balloon,
So it could be
balloon.
as big as they need it to be whenever they need it to be, and that makes everything work, right? Good morning, by the way.
Hello.
Hello.
50 people watching.
Yeah.
Just one quick call to action. Please share the show if you've not done so already. And shout out to all the cheerleaders in chat saying the same thing. So shout out to You Gotta Be a Freak, who's saying, please share the show as well. And then laughing at the fact that there might be newcomers here. Well, absolutely correct. Yeah, the only reason people are here is because the people who do share the show. So if you haven't, please smash that share button. It's only a couple of clicks. You can stick it on your favourite Be Here Forever social media platforms like Skype or Bebo or MySpace, whatever it is you use. smash it on there, let people know. Flat Earth debate is happening right now. We are live. Okay, Brian.
Yeah, can I just point out all the things that we use in the world that have large horizontal distances, right? I won't even use the word horizontal yet. Large distances between 2 points where we must have parallel zeniths. Number one, measurements in surveying of the land, rise over run, and differential leveling over big distances. They all have parallel verticals. The zenith must be parallel. Celestial navigation, you need and require parallel zeniths. Which is also surveying, the angular size of mountains and other big objects, are all objects, but I'm just using mountains because you can be at a big distance from a mountain. Like it could be 100, 150 miles, whatever, 200 miles even from a mountain. It depends on how big the mountain is, right, and what your position, and take an angular size of that mountain, which means that the zenith, your zenith and the zenith at the mountain, your GP and GP of the mountain have to have two verticals that are parallel, two zeniths that are parallel. Then you have takeoff and landing for an airplane. Both of those require parallel zeniths and require distances. Especially for landing, it can be like, it depends on the higher you are, the greater the length of that horizontal. Do you know what I mean? So if you were 40-something thousand feet, you're going to have greater than 120 statute miles to deal with. You could have up to 150 statute miles for that same altitude. Do you know what I mean? So all these things require parallel zeniths. How can we have parallel zeniths being used constantly in the world and the Earth being a globe? How can that happen? It can't.
You can't. Well, you can use, again, the linear distance aspect would not be conducive with it not being parallel, would it? You can't have the description be linear unless it's parallel. That's part of the axiomatic principle of distance in this instance. Now, you tied that at about the 10-minute mark in your video. My God, my memory's good today. What was it? I've forgotten what it was. You tied it to. Oh yeah, statute miles.
Yeah, it's just, no matter what you do, your distances between any 2 points are going to be a straight line. Like, they don't understand a straight line. I mean, I had to tell so many of them that a curved line or an arc length on your globe is not straight. It's a non-deviating curved line or a non-deviating arc length. It is not a straight line. You know what I mean? They don't understand. Like they come back with stupid rubbish. Like Divergent Droid left a comment underneath the video where he's going through like miles and kilometers and all that and meters and all this and how they're all linear and straight, and he gave definitions of everything. And so Andrew Johnson underneath said, if I have a meter long piece of string and I roll it into a ball, is it still a meter long? You know what I mean? It's like, you're missing the point, Andrew. You know what I mean? A mile can be curved as well. It sure can be. You can curve a mile, absolutely. You can measure a curved mile. That's fine. But the mile itself is a straight line. It's a linear straight line. Basically, it's a horizontal straight line. That's what a mile is. Same with a kilometer. Same with a nautical mile. Or a stadia. That's the whole. That's what I mean. You measure a distance in one straight line. You don't you don't curve the line to measure a distance. As far as using a unit in their origins, like a meter, a millimeter, an inch, a foot, they're all straight lines. Everything is straight. All zeniths are parallel. Everything's horizontal. I don't know what we're going to say. Go on, Chocolate.
Well, Brian, according to the son of an astronaut, a straight line can curve as long as it curves in a straight way.
Yeah, that's what you're getting. See,
that's a quote. That's from M. Scott Veach.
Yep.
You know what, though? I've been only talking about this yesterday with someone, or during the night there with someone. It's only a matter of time now before consensus swings in our favor, because the craziness that the people we are against have to come out with.
Oh, I was about to go on to that, but on the completely opposite end of the line. Okay, I was about to say, are we about to what's the word? Merge into the next wave of whatever feast of nonsense needs to be pumped into the general public so that they remember to ridicule flat Earth. Because we, flat earthers, come and go in waves of about 10-year stints. Now, I got this affirmed 10 years ago by Charles Flat Earth Man, and I asked him in an interview, because he was the longest here as an anti-flat earther. He outlasted the wave previous and was telling me about the wave prior to that from 10 years before that. So you're about to launch into, the consensus will be on our side this time next year. There'll be a bazillion of us. Right, that was your line that you're about to go on. I was about to go on along the lines of, are we going to merge into the next line of anti-flat earth nonsense and feast of garbage? Strike that, reverse it.
Yeah, not really, no. What I was going to say is that with the things that these people are coming out with, there's so much evidence coming out now, and it's been brought out in such a way that maybe it wasn't brought out in the past. Right? That things that just cannot be done on a globe. There has to be flat for these things. That it's only a matter of time before, like, the everyday people hear those and then hear the rebuttals to them. And just like years ago, with people like Rumpus and that, and Brenda and all them, they created flat earthers because when ordinary everyday people heard the crazy nonsense they were going on with, they said, I can't be on the side of these people. So it's only a matter of time. I mean, it's only a matter of time before consensus swings their way, before that conversation's happening at that bus stop that you spoke about, Nathan. Because I know of a couple of conversations that happened in recent weeks by pure chance, and people were swinging to our side. Just random conversations out in reality. People were swinging to our side. That's what I was going to say.
Isn't it kind of funny though? Like, you would think, like, we're supposedly in the most advanced stage of technology and all that, right? We got AI and CGI and all that, and I don't think it's working for them because people who believe this nonsense don't believe this nonsense. A lot of people are just like, I believe we live in a ball, but this is all crap. They're not getting any help from, I mean, honestly, the Globers never got help from the mainstream narrative, right? That's always why they've been flailing the whole time. That's why their arguments, like, it's too big to measure the curve. They're not getting any help from their side on that. So the little help that they do get by sending these females up to space and William Shatner up to space and all this crap, none of that's working for them. I don't think it's really working for them. They're trying. It's clear they're attempting to push the narrative, but honestly, Brian, I think you're right, man. I think there's a change coming, man.
You guys are delusional. It's been like this forever. It's been probably been like this for 150 years.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm starting to think. You know, I don't know. Maybe we could be OD'd. You might be right, but I don't know. I don't think we are, to be honest.
And so you know, Nathan, Charles Flat Earth Globe Earth Matt, right, was hanging around on the Flat Earth. Yeah, that's what I call him, because that's what he deserves. He doesn't deserve any real Matt. He's such a lawyer. But he was hanging around on the Flat Earth Society website only a couple of years before this took off. I think 2012 or 2008 or something like that. Don't be listening to that guy telling you lies. He's telling you little lies. You're going off of what Charles Globe Earth Matt told you. He's an unbelievable lawyer. Nothing he says can ever be believed.
Oh, I do know that. I've called him out. I mean, the most egregious was, we don't even need R. That was the most egregious of all of them.
Well, look, the thing is this, right? As Chocolate said, they're not getting any help on the measurement side because they can't get any because there's no measurements of their globe. So all they are getting, the only help they are getting, is pathetic help. It's like they're more or less taking the piss out of them as opposed to helping. And the truth be told, the people who are in the positions laughing at these people, they don't have any respect for them. They want to hand them a load of rubbish. That's why they're not putting any effort into it. NASA's not putting effort into it. They're not putting any effort into trying to help improve their position. They're just giving them rubbish to believe in. Because they don't respect them. They look down upon them because they see them as idiots. I'm sorry to tell you out there, but people like Jeff Bezos, as far as he's concerned, you're a kind of bozos. I'm sorry to tell you. You have to wake up. He's laughing at you. He goes to bed laughing at you. He wakes up laughing at you. And he'll continue to do it as long as you keep following him. Him and Elon Musk and NASA and all this other rubbish. You know, listening to surveyors tell you things that are a load of rubbish, and pilots that are telling you things that are a load of rubbish, and supposed navigators that are telling you things that are a load of rubbish. No matter what you ever come up with, it always, in its essence, requires the earth to be flat. All of it. And you'll never get away from that.
Right. It's axiomatic to what you discussed in your video today. So I'm going to do another plug for it before we get into general chit-chat. Unbelievably, we've spent half an hour discussing it, Brian, which is always good. Before we do move on, though, typically your videos generate huge numbers of comments. Is that the case with this video?
Well, that's only gotten started, but it has already about 50 comments. But like the other videos before, like I've had videos where the comments go past the views somehow. You know what I mean? It's crazy, look.
That's nuts. But is that the case now?
Not on this video, no, not yet. But it could happen in the next few days. The views go a bit. See what happens? I get a good few flat earthers viewing it, and they don't comment because they let to deal with a load of idiots, right? So they don't bother comment. Only some of the flat earthers. There's a few out there, Johnny Sharpen and James Hawke and a few others. They'll come in and they comment. But there's a skeptic will comment. There's a few people that comment, but there's a lot of flat earthers just don't give any comment. Because as soon as they leave a comment, they're going to have 5 trolls, do you know what I mean, bothering them. So, you know, that's why they don't say anything. So at the moment, no. But after a couple of days, you're going to see the comments starting to even out with the views. If you go back to the video before that and the video before that I brought out last week, you see the comments there are nearly even out with the views. So. I say what they don't want to hear, and they don't want anyone telling anyone. And that's why. I annoy them really bad. That's why there's so much comments there.
Well, it did get a fair bit of discussion, would you not agree? As much as you were like, no, that's not how it went down with Adam. We did, I say we, I listened to quite an extensive discussion prior to you making today's video. So, again, it's a testament to how heavily critiqued almost everything we do gets now internally. That is to say, nothing tends to just go out and be unfiltered.
Well, I wanted today's video to actually be a presentation, but I cannot get QE's attention. I just gave up on it. You know what I mean? I wanted it to be a presentation because it's an absolute killer. You're literally like Maxime came up with this challenge, this celestial navigation challenge that's totally fraudulent because he knows that once all the measurements are done, the things he wants to look past, that once you go to the mathematics after that, they're going to be trying to place these positions on a globe. He knows that's what they're trying to do. So his challenge is a complete fraud. My challenge is not. My challenge is, if it's a globe, there's a geometry, that's what you got to do. That's what has to happen for a globe. Right? Go up in your airplane and do it. That's my challenge. So there's nothing hidden. There's no nonsense. The only thing is, I'm in the same position as Hume was in, is that I know they can't do it. And they can't do it because the earth is flat. We can't do Hume's challenge because the almanac and all the nonsense that goes with it all supports a globe after you've measured the earth. After you've done all your measurements on a flat plane. That's the problem. Well, it doesn't, because at the end of that process, they end up using a flat stationary plane. That's what the rest of the ballers don't realize, and Hume doesn't realize. But anyway, that's beside the point. The point is that this is a challenge that I'm putting out there, and that's why I wanted it to be a presentation, but I gave up on that because it just wasn't going to happen. Because the only way I was going to get QE's attention is through Adam. If I want your attention, I have to go through refractory curvature. He's the Nathan Whisperer. To get QE's attention, I have to go through Adam.
Nice, Brian. That is the truth.
It is the truth. I have to get QE's attention. I have to go through Adam. He's the QE Whisperer.
Well, let's just point it out. There's 10 big ones on the line for this. So this challenge, if fulfilled, you'll get 10 big ones. That's right, 10 English pounds.
When you were doing that BBC radio the other day on QE show, that was hysterical. I came in.
Yeah, that is exactly the BBC World Service voice. Or from one of those black and white BBC documentaries from back in the day.
Oh, that reminds me, the Kit mic, do you know, on one of the shows, I think it was on Friday. So I was like, what does this mic sound like? And you're all like, sounds like Kit. Sounds like the Night Industries 2000. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. Well, rather than that particular mic was cheap. So it doesn't warrant me sitting down and making a dedicated video. So what I tend to do is while I'm testing them, I'm still recording. Once that gets published, so it's part of the overlap of YouTubing, I trim it out. So I trim out us talking about Night Industries 2000 and that mic sold. So it sold the same day. Presumably because people want to sound like Kit, which is fair enough.
It was kind of cool when I opened up the YouTube just to see if you were live. And literally the first thing I saw was Kit. I was just like, oh, I'm so geeked out.
That's why, because on Friday's show, I was testing all those mics. I'm hopefully going to do the same on today's after show. I've got a whole load of adapters that have come from China. So once my Chinesium adapters get here, I can start testing some of the old vintage mics that just won't work on modern equipment. So that's partly where I'm hopefully making money with microphones, buying stuff that functionally no one can get working and getting it working, showing it working, and then selling it hopefully for a profit. But that means I've obviously got to test each one of them on video, so I can stick a video on the ad and go, look, this does work, this is how it sounds. Because I think with this, it's nice that you can actually hear how some of these weird mics sound. And weirdly, modern mics are all boring. Right, I got to the Sures, I was all excited about them, because it's like, oh, well, name Taylor Swift. She sings through a Shure Beta when she's on stage. And you're like, oh, right, okay, so this is like the Taylor Swift mic. And you talk through it, this is really boring. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly clear, and everything about it's great. It sounds really clear. But this is boring. Whereas the older ones are coloured, as in they colour the sound. They make it sound distorted in some way or another. But that is interesting, right? So I'm actually more excited about things like that cheap $10, if you will, Kit mic than I am about the £100, £200 mics that are super, super accurate, because they're just a bit nothingy, do you know what I mean? There's nothing to them. Whereas the ones that are vintage and coloured and also quite expensive, those are my favourites. Anyway. But yeah, Kit mic sold. How's everyone else's weekend been? All I've done is list microphones all weekend, in case you can't tell. I wait till half an hour into the show. You cannot moan.
Fired.
Go ahead, Neil. Sorry.
You asked about the weekend. I said, mine sucks. I got fired.
You don't get fired. You got removed from an app that you use.
Yeah, more's the pity. At least you get fired. You can speak to somebody. There's nobody to speak to in these stupid app world things.
Anybody else other than Neil being removed from his 15% or exceeding 15% of rejecting deliveries is already accepted? Yeah, do listen, Neil.
Yeah, you hit it right in the head. You got it. You know it. And I was joking about it the other day. I was hovering right around it. But I thought I had one to play with. But I guess I didn't.
So yeah, what else has anybody been doing over the weekend?
I mow the lawn.
Say again?
I mow the lawn.
Let's try that once more. Other than general domestic tasks, I mean, I did the dishwasher several times. Made several meals also. I mean, has anybody got any flat earth related news? No, I'm going to talk about microphones. All I've focused
No,
on.
Earth is measured and demonstrated flat constantly. Everyday life demonstrate Earth flat because it is flat.
Yeah. It's always in the background at least, because where you wash your dishes. Oh, on a flat Earth. Oh, okay.
Can't wash dishes without a flat plane. I love it.
I mean, it's true, right? It's not like I'm lying.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, in the pre-show, I was asked, when's the book coming out? You said it would come out in Easter. I was like, yeah, I did, didn't I? I also said it would come out last year, but that's just the way life goes sometimes. Now, as I was explaining, as I've just spoken about mics, why am I talking about mics? Well, while we're writing the book, I have taken my eye off the ball. I haven't. I just have only got 2 eyes, and I can only watch one ball, and I've got about 4 balls to watch. So one of those balls is the YouTubing ball, but it's one of them that while I am actually watching it go down in terms of the number of views, and that's disappointing, I have sort of mitigated for that fact by starting up vlogging microphones on eBay after buying them, testing them, making sure they work, and then showing that that is the case. Hopefully I can turn a little bit of profit and keep the lights on, where while we're writing the book, my time is obviously dedicated to that, and I need something that's passive and just ticking over in the meantime while we're doing it. Speaking of which, Adam's around at the minute. Hopefully I'll get his attention, or he'll hear me when he's in between doing what he does, and let me know if we are actually doing it tonight, because we didn't manage to get any... Well, we did get a little bit done on Friday. I disappeared on Friday with people writing my book for me, literally. So Brian, who takes the piss out of this all the time, because there's lots going on without necessarily any input needed from me, or minimal input from me while I'm just sitting around watching it happen, right? Well, on this occasion, I literally went out and had a curry with Craig on Friday while the book was getting done. And that's when I came back and the book wasn't getting done, but what was getting discussed was what we've covered in the first half of the live show and indeed in the pre-show. That was what was being discussed by Adam and obviously Brian. Are we doing the book today? Maybe I'll get an answer. I don't know if I'll get in. Hopefully someone will interrupt me and tell me if that is or isn't the case. But yeah, while we're doing that, go on.
I hadn't been around. I was away. I just came into the call, and I presumed whatever work was being done on the book had been done already. So I wasn't, like, I'd been missing for a couple of hours. So I don't know what work. There could have been work done on the book. Adam would have to tell you, or Flatsy, or QE, or someone, maybe Neil.
But it's really interesting because there's several of us, right, that go out for a curry and have done for, I don't know, it must be at least 2 or 3 years now. It's quite a while. But in any event, right, there's let's say the 4 or 5 main protagonists that go, sometimes have others there, and a couple of the lads, I was resigned to the fact that they knew Earth was flat and I kind of dealt with it. But then I found out after Friday's curry that no, one of them specifically is still flashing up his iPhone to Craig, who's on the panel now actually, saying, no, you know, this windmill going over the curve of the Earth proves we are on a boat. I'm like, what the hell? I'm not moaning at Craig, but I was like, why didn't you tell me before we went? Because I thought that was all dealt with, you know, internally. Because it's like I say, there's several of us that are always sort of the regulars at that kind of curry evening, and often others, external people, outsiders, come along, and then they're like, it's like bringing a baller in on a Discord server, right? You give them a little poke, tell them Earth's flat, and see how they react, see what they've got in their arsenal to react with, and the table of curry men gets louder and louder and louder until about 11 when we all bugger off home, right? That's normally the way of things. But on Friday, it was just us, right? There was no need for the subject to come up, and we were just chit-chatting about random other stuff. I think we were talking about quantum mechanics, actually. But I just felt like it was a wasted opportunity because one of our own, I was like, I thought that was dealt with. But au contraire, not at all. So I now found out. It's like, all right, well, but, windmills over the curve. You're like, how 8 years ago is that? Do you remember when Ranty, believe it or not, Ranty's a baller now. Ranty was asked, what's he called? He's now called, might as well shout him out, as a fellow
Auditing the
YouTuber.
absurd.
Auditing the absurd, right? Shout out to you, formerly Ranty Flat Earth, now auditing the absurd as a YouTuber. I tip my hat. Nevertheless, right, this gentleman went out of
He's
my...
not a baller.
He is a baller.
He's not a baller. You can't. He's not.
Anti-flat earther.
Anti-flat earther.
He's not even that. He's not even that.
He is. He's decided to be an anti-flat earther. Now, currently...
And he thought it was going to work out for him. It didn't. That's why he's doing other content. Go on, anyway. Sorry.
Well, yes, we're the same. Last week I was saying we're the same. Anti-flat earthers, just less courageous in terms of being able to accept the societal brunt that they'll face when they admit that they're investigating this subject. Easier, as an anti-flat earther, who's the same as us, just a bit more cowardly, to project that onto a third party, us. So we not only have to deal with the societal brunt, we have to deal with our own, coming to terms with it and investigating it, whilst we've got other third parties telling us, you need to tell me an explanation for this. Right? Well, Ranty's gone over to that side because that's the side that he thought, to respond to what you've just said, would algorithmically favour him. Well, I don't know. Simon Dan, as much as he's more popular than I, he's never going to be Joe Rogan. This subject's not algorithmically that important, is it? Let's be honest.
Exactly, but I think Ranty thought that he was going to, all I'll say is that I could predict that there's a good chance Ranty will be flipping back. That's all I'm saying, within the next year.
Well, either way, I mean, I'm not too concerned about Ranty. I'd never got on with him that well. When he was a flatty, I was always arguing with him. But anyway, maybe that's just me sensing blood in the water or a flip-flopper in the making. So if he flops back after flipping, then that's par for the course as far as I'm concerned. I'll do a shout out to him, and then we'll go back to these windmills that were discussed over curry. So shout out to... Oh, let's just put this up on screen, sorry. Shout out to Robert. The mic endeavour seems to be working out. 100. I don't know if I'm not so sure about that, Robert. I've spent a couple of grand on microphones. Although that said, I for the first time, as much as I was about to demean it and go, no, I've spent a ton of money and nothing's happening, I actually did start to bank money yesterday. I was like, said to my wife, look, here's 40 quid coming from eBay that's not just immediately being spent on more microphones. It's actually going back into the bank. And then I went and looked at my YouTube AdSense, and I was like, oh my God, oh no, please, let's sell them all. That's what I thought. I was like, oh God. And I was like, no, just keep calm. There's something that's been built up to mitigate for this. So I'm like, shit, I'm not going to pay the mortgage this month. I felt that last month and the month before, and I'm finally somewhere where, like I say, 40 quid or whatever it was I banked yesterday. I was like, no, money is coming in. Thank the Lord. Because I ain't thanking AdSense, I can tell you that much. But I really do appreciate it, Robert. Thank you so much for the super chat. Hopefully it'll work out. Hopefully people will buy microphones from me. I might have completely misjudged the market and terribly wasted lots and lots of money, literally thousands. We will see. Hopefully not. Hopefully it'll keep my mortgage paid while we write this book. But the sooner I can stop selling microphones, frankly, the better. As much as I'm trying to retain my enthusiasm, because you need to, right, to sell stuff, you need to be passionate about it. And I do like microphones, otherwise I wouldn't be selling them at all. But by the same token, I like this. Talking about them on a video is actually what I want to do. It could be anything. Yeah, it could be pool filters. You know what I mean? If I was talking about it on a YouTube video, I'd be happy. So the fact that it's microphones, flat earth, regardless, I'm happy because I'm doing it in a sense while I'm broadcasting. So if that makes sense to the audience listening to this, it's like, well, my passion for the microphones isn't really where it's at. It's my passion for the talking about the microphones on YouTube videos, because it's totally surplus. I don't need to make videos about these mics, but because I can extract some degree of enjoyment out of just fucking retailing old tat and polishing dog turds, which is all I'm actually doing. Thank you for the super chat. So yeah, so any other news over the weekend? Anything else exciting? Like I say, I haven't actually talked about any of my microphones yet. I could definitely do that for the last quarter of an hour if there's nothing else flat Earth related.
But they have exciting news flat Earth related, but I'm not telling you. I'm not allowed.
That's nonsense. You've just made that up.
If that's what you want to believe.
Oh, here we go. Well, what I do know is that in a not so long period from today, we will actually have finished the book. I can almost taste it. The light of the tunnel is definitely glaring into the train, if you will. Right? It's not like, when will we get to the end of this tunnel? My God, it's dark and it's stayed dark and it's been dark forever. It's like, no, there's the end. It's just there, literally just there. See it? Yeah, cool. So we all know that there is an end in sight. And no, I promise you there isn't another tunnel afterwards. Yeah? So the end is close. And that will literally put a shot in the arm of this YouTube channel. Right? I'm going to have to go out on tour to promote that book. And turn it into money so I can pay the mortgage with it. But yeah. It's going to be a reference book. It's going to be fantastic. It's really, really coming along. It's getting that high spick and polish put all over it. Spick and span looking fantastic. The bits that have already been done, I mean. Yeah, a lot of work from a lot of people. I should really reiterate that you need to contact me if you do actually want to be a part of flogging it, because that is still going to be the case, that you'll get 30% of the sale if you promote it. You just have to sign up with my distributor, whatever you want to call him. What is his name? What do we call Chuck? I forgot what his actual title is. Publisher. I get there in the end. But yeah, I need to put you in touch with my publisher so that he can literally get banking details from you, so that when you put the information out there verbally on a video, i.e., hey, Nathan's book's linked below if you did want to buy a copy of the Flat Earth reference book, when anybody actually does click on that link, you'd get revenue, 30% specifically, which is the same as I get as an affiliate program. So it's been designed to very much encourage people to want to sell it. You're like, what? I get the same as you do? Yes, you do. If you want to retail the book, if you want to stick a link beneath it. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like microphones. You haven't got to clean them and make sure they work and take them to Craig if they're broken. Nothing like that. You just have to put a link and talk about it. And then you'll get 30% of the sale of a book that's taken a lot of people, a lot of man hours to produce. So, yeah, from that regard, if you are interested, hopefully lots and lots of affiliates will say, oh, yeah, I'll definitely go for that. I'm making the same as you. Yes, you are. I would imagine that would be encouraging for people to want to go out of their way to actually promote it, knowing they're making the same as the author if it does actually sell from their affiliate link. Yeah, drop me a line by whatever means. Lots of links below this video to get in touch with me if you did want to be that person and you do want to put links to the Flat Earth reference book when it comes out. And indeed to hopefully flog it to your friends and family, because you'll want them to have it once it's out, which is going to be imminent. Can you say that is going to be imminent? That's kind of redundant. It's imminent. Anyway, 90 people watching. Please share the show.
Can you keep this charade going for another 15 minutes? Because it's only 2:45.
Pete, what's charade going? No, I'll just talk about microphones. I've said that already. I thought I'd be testing them on the live show if my Madubris had come from AliExpress. You guys have AliExpress in the States? Clearly not. Where'd you get your Chinesium when you need it? Clearly nobody's in need of any Chinesium. Well, I definitely I'm in need of Chinesium, and I've purchased vast quantities of it to make old, tatty, cheesy microphones made of plastic function in a modern society. And I've got about...
People...
Oh, go on.
I'm just saying people are getting a lot of stuff from China off of Temu, I think, rather than AliExpress. For individual things, AliExpress is good for, I think, for bulk items. But Temu was good for singular items, I think.
That's correct.
Could be wrong.
I buy on AliExpress in bulk. So like, I don't know how many adapters I got. I think it was 16 or 18 adapters from Ali, and that will sort out all of my vintage microphones and make them all, I hope, work. Most of them will be dead, as in. That's kind of what I want to do, right? When people go through eBay and they're like, I really want to use a vintage microphone, like that kit mic, and then you come across one, and let's say it's 15 quid. The first question you ask yourself is, number one, what does this actually sound like? And number two, will it work when I get it home? That's the two things that I have always asked myself when shopping on eBay for microphones. Will this work? What does it sound like? So if I can answer those two questions, I feel like I'm adding value. Not only will I answer how it sounds and if it works, I'll offer the ability to make it work on anybody's kit. Like put an XLR on the end, in other words. So it'll just work on a modern piece of equipment. So you can plug it in, go, oh yeah, sound like kit, and immediately get bored of it. And hopefully it's worth 25 quid to somebody.
You're so easy to understand, but I'm watching a show called Mobland, and I can't understand a word Tom Hardy is saying. I have no clue when he speaks. Is it because he's
Too muffled.
deliberately using a street accent?
Is it too muffled? It's just you can't. It's not intelligible.
No, he just rattles it off so fast, and I think it's got like a lot of slang, but I can't understand them. I got to put on the freaking the words. It's like he's speaking this freaking. I don't know. It's a good show though. It's called Mobland. It's all about in the UK, but I don't understand.
He's in
him.
English.
But you're English, and I understand you perfectly.
Oh, that's because I can speak correctly.
Nah, it's an accent, or I mean, I don't know, maybe a dialect that's different when you speak than some. Like I don't know the exact show he's talking about because I've never seen that show, but I know what he means. So it's like when you English guys start speaking, we're like, what the hell? What is he saying?
Yeah, but never with Nathan or even
that's because I'm
Adam.
a professionally trained voice actor. That's why. So that's what I trained to do. So there's a show. Anybody here familiar with Hello Hello?
Yeah.
You know the blonde on Hello Hello? Tall blonde with a whip.
Yes.
She gave me voice lessons.
Good moaning.
Good moaning. She gave me voice lessons. And her husband. But she was there at the college giving us voice lessons. Right, that's what she did after the fact. So, knowing how to enunciate, doing all the stuff that you see actors doing when you'll have a behind the scenes or a bit in a film that's showing how actors on stages perform, they're all doing that, all that kind of crap, warming up their voice. Yeah, all that stuff is stuff that I've been trained to do so that I could project to the back of a theatre. One has to be heard. Well, most people haven't.
Sorry, I've got. Can you yodel?
Can I yodel? I don't think I've ever tried to yodel. That's not very British.
My father could yodel. He used to sing. He could yodel really loud, really, really loud.
That's lovely. Thank you for that.
Jeez, you took me all the way back to my cousin's party. There was a lady that used to come on during a talent show and yodel. Holy shit, every year it was the same thing.
Well, if it's echoing around the mountains, I bet it's quite spectacular. Into a, glass of Nuki Brown, not so much.
So are you going to be narrating the book, Nathan? Like,
I will be, yeah.
Like a narrated version?
Absolutely. That's partially why I fell into doing I was explaining to my mate, right? I was like, I've started a new business. He was like, what? Because he occasionally watches the YouTube videos. He's like, doing what? I was like, selling microphones. He was like, what? I was like, how's that happened? I was like, well, I just wanted to do a voiceover. I'm going to end up voicing over my own book. So I wanted to buy a really nice microphone to do it with. And then after buying 2 or 3, because I'm good at buying stuff cheap, and I'm like, I don't want that, I'll flog it. I ended up turning a profit. This was how I was explaining it to my mate. He's like, oh, okay. So you just bought it cheap enough to put it back on eBay and make a profit? And I was like, yeah, I did that 2 or 3 times. And I'm like, hang on a second. I can see a pattern forming here. Next thing you know, you've got a couple of grand's worth of mics sat behind you and you're shitting your pants that they're all going to sell. I say a couple of grand. That's not true. What I mean by that is, if I look at the list of everything I've purchased, it is over £2,000. But obviously, as it's come in, I have immediately put it back on eBay and sold quite a lot of it. So it's not like I'm sat here with £2,000 worth of microphones behind me. I'm not. That's an exaggeration. But that is literally how much I have spent on the endeavour so far, if I tot up only the one side of the spreadsheet, if you will. I haven't actually got a spreadsheet. I've got notes and do the maths manually in my head because I don't know how to use a spreadsheet.
Yeah, Adam might do a really boring one for you. Adam might do one up for you.
Yeah, do you have any idea how many things I get Adam? The only reason I'm able to do this is because Adam picked up the first microphone for me. My God, being empathic, Adam probably is put upon by absolutely everybody, always, for everything. I'm not asking him to do anything ever again.
Yeah, but Adam's also very smart and can do things.
He's only one man, though, eh?
Yes.
Right, so I'm not asking him to do anything. That's just totally unreasonable. Adam has done more than enough. I'm only in the position to do this with microphones because I developed a float to do it with because I found a Neumann on Facebook. Now, having a moderate understanding of microphones, enough to get by, I spotted that it weren't a fake. And I didn't know how this kid had got his hands on a real Neumann. But I went to Adam, please, can you go and pick it up? And he was like, from where? I'm like, this is the street name. He's like, what, the rough bit of town? Okay. And he went and picked it up for me. This is Adam, right? This is not a bullshit story. This happened 2 or 3 months ago. And to his credit, he just upped and did it after work with the cash in hand. And it wasn't a small amount. I mean, it is to me. It's a lot of money when it's 140 quid, I think it was, for something that retails new for about £800. But presumably this kid knows somebody who's got a studio or something similar, and they've got to the point where these mics have become a little bit tatty, too tatty to put in front of clients. They've gone, hey kid, do you want to buy one of these really valuable microphones? It's worth a lot of money. I don't know, 50 quid. And the kid's gone, yeah, please. Or whatever. Yeah, man, and ting, I'll have it, yeah, man. And he's bought it for 50 quid and then put it on Facebook for 300 quid. And obviously with a horrendous picture of it, nobody's interested. And when it's got down to about 180 quid, I've said, will you take 140? And he's bit my arm off, right? And based on these crappy little pictures, I've turned that into 300 quid, which is what it was worth. And what he was asking for originally. But with that profit, immediate profit, I might add, I was now in a position where I've turned over, or haven't turned over, I'm still sat on a shit ton of them, but I've spent £2,000 on microphones. That all started with one Neumann. I'm not even kidding. If it wasn't for Adam doing that, I wouldn't now be going, I'm all right, we can now do the book. I'm not going to go, just publish it, I need the money. That's what I'd be doing if it wasn't for Adam. The knock-on effect of that one transaction, like doubling my money, more than doubling my money on one microphone, because it was a real Neumann.
So Adam had to nearly get stabbed and robbed.
Yeah, that's what he said. He was like,
in your mic selling career.
Yeah. He was in a knifey part of his town. It's his town. You know, we're not talking about my town. The only reason he was doing it was because it was local to him, right?
For those that don't know, the nickname that Nottingham, where Adam's from, which is Nottingham, is Shottingham.
Shottingham.
So that's been its nickname. Yeah, that's his nickname.
I like Nottingham. When I was a rep, I had a dealer in Nottingham, and he was one of my favourite dealers. And the front of his store was all glass. It was a massive store. It must have been like a furniture shop or something at some point, because it was just massive, like a car showroom. And when you rock up to this shop, hi-fi shop, and there's all these really expensive, like 10, 15, 20, probably now it'd be more than that, 70, 80 grand hi-fis in the window, all lit up. And you get there, and to me, it was like hi-fi Nirvana. Like, get there, and all the angels singing behind all these big hi-fis. I loved arriving at What was it called? I think it's called Moorgate. Was it Moorgate? I can't remember what the name of the store was. Regardless. Might have just been Nottingham.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that Nottingham has a lot of good points to it, but it's just it got a name some years back because, I don't know, gangsters or something.
I want to know why when you presented this little idea to Nathan that he shot you down. And now he seems to be doing it, selling microphones. But when you suggested it, you got shot right down. It's weird.
You know what it is, Neil? Some people just don't want to admit that they're fetishes. That's what's wrong.
Fetishes?
Nathan he has a fetish for mics. And he likes to buy and sell them. And he's actually into doing it. But he's trying to pretend he's a flat earther in the meantime. Writing the book.
Actually, it's been all about the mics all along. Now, I do like them. They're like speakers. Like, I'm obsessed about them. And then was like, I like speakers. How's the best way to get a really nice hi-fi, like I've just described with a lot of passion? Well, the only way to do it is to work in that industry, and then you can get trade prices on stuff. So that's how I did it. I've got a really nice monitoring setup that's the same as I've had for 20 plus years because I worked in the industry to buy it. Well, it's the same equivalent. It's like, how am I going to get a really nice mic? Well, the only way to get one for a really good price is to be working with them and selling them and stuff. And then you come across them as that happened. Now, for me, that happened almost immediately. By about the 5th or 6th or 7th transaction, I got a Neumann. The one I'm talking to you on now, I got. And I'm like, that was the main objective. But by then, I was already making profit off them. Like, I want more because I need to pay the mortgage. And like, here we are 2 months later, and I'm finally starting to actually put money in the bank. But first, I'm sure I mentioned this already. First 40 quid went in my bank. I think it was yesterday. I'm sure I've mentioned this already. Anyway.
I have a set of, whatchamacallit, a set of studio speakers. They're not really big, but they're nice handy size. And there's a really nice sound out of them. And I haven't heard them in years because I gave the interface to my friend to use. That's all I have to say about it.
Very, very good.
Are we going to start a speaker sales business?
No, I've been there and done that. I've already got all that stuff, so I don't need any speakers. But microphones is a recent endeavour, and I didn't know everything there was to know about them. So if you ask me a question about hi-fi, there's a good chance I'd know the answer. Well, up until a month ago, if you asked me about a microphone, I'd be like, I vaguely know. Now, I'd consider myself that 80-20 rule, where I'm at 80% of the knowledge I would ever need. I'm no expert. I haven't got that 20% that will take me 10 years of selling microphones to be called an expert in it. Like I definitely would call myself an expert in flat earth. I mean, I've got Brian right next to me. I'll just ask him.
Yeah, or Adam or something.
Yeah. If I've got a flat earth question that needs answering, I've got expert status because, you know, I've got a man in a wing I can just ask. It's called Adam.
Yeah, we just got to get rid of
not to take
pricks in Discord.
Not to take the conversation away from flat earth because you need flat earth microphones as well. But the video that's in Skype, did we go over that? I think it's Wiz Khalifa, another rapper who came out as a flat earther or talking about flat earth or something like that. I didn't see it. I heard about it, but I didn't see it. Did we go over that, or is that for future reference?
I don't remember any show where that was gone over.
So
Well, it was just posted in
Bootleg Kev, right?
Say that again.
Bootleg Kev. Is that what you're talking about?
That's the name of the YouTuber he's talking to.
The headline that's going around today, you're the latest flat earther.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. I saw he said,
Okay, so fill us in. What's the story here? Who are these dudes?
Well, I'm not sure who the interviewer is, but I know the rapper is, I think, Wiz Khalifa. And basically...
Hold on. Which one's which? Who's the interviewer? The black guy, the interviewer, or the white guy? Is he white? How many shades of white is this guy? Either way, who's the interviewer and who's the interviewee?
If you've got a black guy and a white guy, the rapper's the black guy.
Yeah.
Always the
Now,
black
Wiz
guy.
Khalifa?
Okay, so this guy's
Never heard Vanilla Ice?
Let's not go down this path.
No, I just mean the Wiz Khalifa's black. So if you've got a black guy and a white guy, Wiz Khalifa's the black guy. That's all I meant.
Wait a second. Wiz Khalifa came out as a flat earther? This is news to me.
Do you follow
Well,
Wiz Khalifa or something, Neil?
I know of his music. Yes, I do. Some songs. I mean, I don't know him like I know the Beatles or the Police or even U2. But I've heard his stuff.
Name one song. I'm going to call this right now. Name one.
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
I'll fully admit that's probably the only song I would name.
You mean he got that right? I am absolutely lost for words.
I got it right. I'm a musician, bro.
Oh my God, Neil's trendier than I am. Okay, well, I'll deal with that later.
I heard your explanation on the Joe Budden podcast.
Yeah.
So
Did you just say on Joe Rogan's podcast?
Nah, Joe Budden.
Oh.
Joe Budden.
break,
rapper.
because you have obviously been all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Do you truly think that?
Is that obvious? Is this guy a big guy? Wiz.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
live on a flat plane? Is that?
No, fair enough. I don't. The fact that I don't know, I'm not decrying that he is big or isn't. I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
I'm just trying to flesh out your idea a little more.
I just believe more what I see than what
you're told.
What I'm told, especially the older that I get.
I already like his dulcet tones, as I would call them. Right. That's right. What you're hearing there, when I say enjoy their dulcet tones, that's what he's got. I can instantly tell he's going to have a good rapping voice by the way he speaks. Right. He's got that tone to his voice, hasn't he? You can hear it.
And the whole
that love it.
Concept of space is way too big for my imagination anyway. It's too big for a lot of our imaginations. We would love to believe that we could think we know what the shape of the world is, but the reality behind that is like it's impossible. So
okay, that's a fairly diplomatic opening. This guy's not dumb. Interesting opener to answer that question. Let's see where it goes next.
Wait till you hear what he goes to for his.
You choose what you want to believe, even if they're facts supported.
Ed, whoever that was.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, that's incorrect. The Earth doesn't have any particular shape. And we can know what it is by a measurement. So, incorrect, yeah.
No, I totally agree. But
it does, hold on, Brian. It does have a shape.
No.
I mean, we just can't get a full view of it.
You don't have to make apologies. Brian's
How do we know
right.
that?
But I'm more interested in the way he's slipping his way into this subject with an answer to the question, right? And he's very cool about it though so far. Now, Brian's right in his critique. There's nothing wrong with Brian's critique.
By, scientists or whatever. You believe that. You know what I'm saying? It's a belief. It's not.
They haven't. It's like most of these people haven't been in space.
Yeah, it's just a belief. You just choose what to believe.
Right.
Yeah, that's all. So I don't even think that there's right or wrong. I think that people choose what they want to believe. If you choose to believe that what the scientists say, cool.
No, now we're going downhill.
Category error.
Travel.
That's a category error. Neil's called it already. Oh, another ad.
And find out for yourself, or see as much as you can for yourself, and base your beliefs off of that.
I don't know. We're not really in a belief situation when it comes to flat Earth. The Earth's measured flat. If you're going to go up to what you think is space to believe in it, then you need to measure your height off surface level or sea level. That's the height off a flat Earth that you'll be measuring to describe altitude with. Meanwhile, the sky is not a vacuum. The gas we're breathing would disperse into it if it was. Outer space, the sky vacuum, is fake.
Then, that's another choice. And that's more or less what I did. And based off of me traveling, I've only moved flat.
No, you're a traveling man.
I've only moved, and looking at the map and the routes that we take, it doesn't seem like we're going around anything. It just seems like we're just going straight over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, spot on. That's the standard we lay down here daily. Love it. So far, so good, mate. Yeah, stick to that. You won't go far wrong. Yeah, everything about it is associated flat too. Linear distances on the flat map with flat directions. All measured and charted with angles off a flat Earth to the stars. Everything about every aspect of what that gentleman just said was flat. In all regards, there are no exceptions. Love it.
Over top
Yeah,
of...
but you know what? Hold on. If he comes across us, he's not far off. This guy sounds like he would jump right on and get a full understanding of it immediately.
Doesn't
when
sound
he
like he needs
understands
one.
the Earth is measured flat.
That's my point. It doesn't sound like he needs one. I like it when they don't need us.
To back him up, I have astrophysicist Neil Smoking deGrasse Tyson with that stuff is flat.
Where it could look like a circle, it could be circular if you rounded it out, but if it's just one thing, it connects exactly the same. So I just don't see the difference.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I also find it very peculiar that we were able to go to the moon in the 60s, but we have yet to do that again.
Now, as I just mentioned, we haven't been to the moon because going to the moon would involve traversing a second law of thermodynamics violating a sky vacuum where the gas you're currently breathing in and out of your lungs would disperse into if it was an area of volume 10 to the minus 17 torf to travel to the moon through. Go ahead, whoever that was.
This is that ladder that the normies need to climb to get there. So that's one of the rungs on the ladder. That's how I see it.
That's questionable. A lot of stuff is questionable.
Like, I think the whole moon shit was...
When you start allowing me to question things, that's when I start to believe other things.
Right.
Who's stopping you? I mean, who's he referring to in the third person? When you...
The entire mainstream paradigm that wants to fight the flat earth and fight people's belief in a ball or fight to keep people believing in a ball. He's talking about the entire paradigm.
Or possibly Eli.
Or possibly Eli.
Well, look, the good news here is you don't have to believe anything. He could know Earth is flat.
Yeah, it's measured flat.
I'm not like sold.
Sorry, 1 second.
Not a problem.
Sorry, I tried to get that before you press play. But that is the problem with the word. They believe that the Earth is globe, and then they switch to believing the Earth is flat. Then they go back to believing the Earth is globe. Then they go back to believing the Earth is flat. The problem is that people believe that you can only believe. When it comes to a globe, you can only believe. When it comes to reality, you can know. You don't have to believe. You can literally know. But people are afraid to move away from just believing. They're afraid of that. You even see it with religious people. They're afraid of moving away from just believing. You know what I mean? That's why they want to have arguments with people who are atheists and stuff like that. Because that keeps them in a belief situation. It's their belief versus my belief, as opposed to their belief means nothing because I know things. You know what I mean?
Especially when the belief you're supposed to have goes against what you experience. I mean, listen to what he just said about what he experienced. He travels a lot. He travels, in his experience, he travels over a flat plane. That's what everybody has experienced.
Yeah.
So where does the ball come in? Oh, that's the belief part.
Yeah, a diagram. That's what you get for that.
Yep, or a cartoon.
Hold on.
Yeah, but that's what you get, isn't it?
It's just, from my experience, it really don't even matter to me all like that because I'm not leaving Earth anytime soon to find out.
Are you gonna if Jeff Bezos hits you to take the Katy Perry flight? Are you doing it?
No, I'm good, man. I won't gain anything from that. But it's just funny to me, like how like people are so tripped out about either the Earth being round or the Earth being flat. Like, you can argue about that all day. Like, you can't argue that hat is black.
Nah, you can't. No, you can't, because fundamentally, axiomatically, it's required to be flat. Furthermore, to believe you're on a ball also requires Earth be a flat plane to measure, to create the ball with those measurements. So while you say you can argue about that all day long, and I get you're saying that so you can contrast it by saying you don't care. I get where you're going, but you're wrong, because it's not an argument to have. Yeah, and you wouldn't be juxtaposing your lack of concern or care for the argument that you don't want to engage in if you knew it wasn't an argument. So that was quite an extensive critique, but it's still valid. Go ahead.
Yeah, because it seems like he's kind of going there, right? Like he doesn't. Maybe he's not aware yet that it's an actual measurement, right? Because he's saying you can't argue with that. That hat's black. Yeah, you all right? You didn't measure it, but the hat's black. It's obvious, right? So you can't argue with that. If he knew it was a measurement, he wouldn't be even talking about belief. He would just say you can't argue it because it's measured that way.
Exactly. It'd be contrasting it with the hat. The hat's black. There it is. You can see it. There's no arguing with it. It's right in front of you. It is black. Not if it was black when you're holding the hat, right? It's not if it was flat when you're standing on a surface that has to be, to describe it in any way, measure it in any way, or utilize those measurements to create a ball for people to believe in. Because that also relies on a flat Earth being measured. If you know that, then it's the hat getting contrasted with the flat Earth, as opposed to the belief that people argue about that you want to disassociate yourself from.
That's a black hat, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so like we can't argue about that. That's a fact. It's not a fact of either. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just whatever you believe in. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Nope.
Yeah, it might seem cool to like go back and forth and all of this, but nobody really fucking knows. Who knows?
We do. But we've just covered that. I mean, preemptively, we knew where it was going, hence we've already covered it preemptively without having watched this, because we've done this before. Shocking, isn't it?
Who knows?
We do. I'll just answer you again. Everybody here, without exception, knows for sure and without a doubt Earth is flat, because that's how it's measured in every instance, without exception. So we all know.
Yeah,
I
it's a
feel
flat
like-
stationary closed-up automated dynamic system. That's all it is.
Like, if there's like anybody who would have known, they obviously probably wouldn't be here anymore because they would have fallen off the
Who knows,
other
dog?
side.
Who knows?
Oh,
The
boy.
Bermuda Triangle could be where the
This is reaction. That's worth a rewind. He just went, he
Pure
leant back in his
applause.
chair, went, who knows? And then just drank his water. That, to me, is the same as us saying wanker, isn't it? Is it worth a rewind? His reaction? No, I don't think it will. But who knows? Leaning back, drink your water is like, because he could hear where he was going with your falling off the edge shit that he's now bringing up.
Earth ends, because a lot of people disappear when there's that Bermuda little.
That's the stutter of a man making stuff up on the spot. A lot of people disappearing at the edges there.
That Bermuda little mountain. Actually, never really brought it up.
I didn't need to rewind. Look at this look. That says it all, doesn't it, right there? That's the look.
Probably a vortex, some sort of alien.
So much stuff is possible. They say that that this is where we live.
You know who he sounds like, just in his speaking voice? He sounds like Snoop. He's got that tone, hasn't he?
Everybody in chat says he sounds like chocolate.
Chocolate's got that tone. Yeah, I'd agree.
That's kind of funny.
So much earth.
Yeah, there's certain black men with that tone. Yeah, and they can rap and sing. Others, not so much. But you've got to have that tone. I had a guy's on the British rapper, English rapper, and he hasn't got that tone, and he's really popular at the moment. I couldn't tell you his name. He was on the charts yesterday.
Is it Tim?
I don't know who it is. It just sounded crap. He hasn't got a nice tone to his voice. And he's rapping away, and I'm listening to this nasally nastiness going, who made you famous?
Is it Tim? Is it the rapper Tim?
Could be. That sounds like it. Is he right up the top of the charts at the moment?
Or is it possibly Simon?
You're just making this up, aren't you?
The only
It's
one
like
that could get away with not having a rapper voice is Eminem.
If you say so.
Even though he's one of the greatest rappers ever.
Yeah, but he doesn't have that tone.
He's not going on tone, is he? Right? He's going on.
No.
That's not what he's. Okay, whatever, Neil.
Walls that we can't go past. Have you heard about that?
Yeah. So my producer. My producer is a.
Do you believe that?
He's a flat earther. Yeah, you are.
But do you believe in the ice walls?
I don't.
He's now casting aspersions at his producer. Like, yeah, you are. Right? That was is it a backhanded insult when he was telling his producer that he was a flat earther? It's like saying you're a dipshit or an idiot or a retard. Yeah, you are. When he said it. In other words, this guy's pouring scorn. And I would imagine that got picked up on. Yeah? The rapper guy, the whiz guy, doesn't strike me as stupid. So the fact that he just threw that out at his producer and you could hear the producer off camera shout back, yeah, that's not going to be lost on him. In other words, this guy on the left, I don't know what his name is, he doesn't like flat earthers. Like, I now know that. Go ahead.
Him, I think his name is.
I'm not going to trust anything you say now because I do that. You stole that from me. Just start making up names. Is it Tony? It could be Tony. Is it Tony? Terry.
Don't.
Why not?
I don't know.
See?
I don't. How about this? I don't know.
You don't want to.
How about this? I just don't know.
You
don't
know. We don't know.
Exactly.
Who knows?
This is my whole entire approach. That's my approach with religion because I'm not a religious person.
Yeah.
But like the people.
Yeah. Again, this is a back and forth of undertones in the conversation. Him going, yeah, is him batting him off after that little slight that's semi-directed at him via the producer. This is an interesting discourse back and forth. There's a few undertones that I quite like in the conversation.
People who would know what happens to you after you die are...
This guy looked uncomfortable, right? Because presumably he likes the guest. I like that look of slightly squirming. I've seen that look.
I think it's something that's going to happen more often because, again, flat Earth ain't going anywhere, right? And I think it's obvious it's just getting bigger. And with the popularity getting up there, or even the negative popularity, if you can consider it that, people are going to want to talk about it. And when you have people like Lord Jamar and Wiz Khalifa now coming out, like it just keeps popping up again and again and again. And I think more podcasters are going to think, well, this is in the news. This is a thing. So I got to talk about it. But a lot of them might be uncomfortable by talking about it because they know the backlash sometimes it gets. But I guess they're willing to take that L for the views, right?
Dead. So like we just choose to believe like
I don't think that they're dead.
No, I'm saying that those people, like whatever happens once we transition to whatever's next, how do we? It's not like we could find out firsthand what they went through once they passed away. Like, so I feel like most religion is, it's all very similar, and it's all very man-made. But like, who really knows?
What the hell is he babbling about? Anybody know what he's babbling about? I've listened for 25 seconds and I have no idea what he's talking about. Dead people? Who? What? What's he talking about? Anybody? No? Nothing.
Just religion. What people believe happens after you die. Which is not a big stretch considering the subject because we are talking about a religion of the globe. So.
I'm saying?
Who? And not who as in who, but who.
Imagine entering your name.
Okay. Well, I'm going to round up. Unless anybody got anything particularly pressing they want to add to that. No? With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow.
He's got that much juice, but he respects
Who said that?
50.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he respects the shit out of him.
Yeah, he said if M says
He
good, M says
owes.
no good,
I mean,
I
he'll
listen
tell
to
you
M.
himself. He owes his whole career to him. You know, looked out for him more than anybody else. Him and Dre.
Yeah.
I know you've done a lot of. I know you've done a lot of shrooms and shit. Do you feel like when I don't know if you've had like that, like kind of spiritual breakthrough where you feel like super.
Oh, that was perfect timed. So just right before he starts talking about drugs, I ended the live show. That was perfect. Whew. Excellent.
Small on psychedelics. I feel like that is being like super fucked up on mushrooms. I think I ate an eighth once and I was tore back, dude.
Yeah, I believe in aliens. I believe that I read a lot of books and stuff like that. And in some of the books they talk about like sharing technology with aliens.
Oh,
They
boy.
tried to reverse engineer whatever the Roswell crash was back then, and they
would love to like keep us blind and just keep us right where we're at. But the more we start to like get the information, they're like, oh, they won't believe it. It just sounds fucking crazy, so they'll never believe it.
Did you know? I don't know if you know. Like last year, they had those hearings about UFOs, and then, like, the Pentagon
exposing it. People will be completely fine with it, because it's like there's so much other shit going on.
I think we've been preconditioned with movies and TV shows to where if we found out aliens are real, we all are kind of mentally, whether we know it or not, just kind of like okay with it.
That's what they're trying to do.
That they like you said, they conditioned us, but they made aliens look like little round head, little bug eyed things.
If they look like that, we'll be cool.
Yeah.
If they look like the Predator, we're all freaking out.
They might look like us.
They will.
Might.
They will look like us. There'll just be people from over there, because there's no little green men up in the sky, because there is no sky vacuum to have little green men come from. But in previous history, we found other people on the lands that were just over there towards the horizon.
I'm living on one of those lands.
Well,
You feel me?
Yep.
You know what I'm
hold on a
saying? They might.
second. Yeah, this guy said, like, we're not worried about if they tell us aliens exist. No, you're worried as if you're worried about being told they don't. That's what you're worried about. You're worried about being told, actually, there is no aliens. There is no planets to go to. It's all nonsense. That's what you're worried about. You're not worried about being told that there are aliens doing this, because that means what you believed in has come true. You know what I mean? Your beliefs have happened. No, you're worried about there not being aliens.
Exactly, Brian,
What
because
that
no
actually
aliens,
means.
no aliens means creator, God.
Exactly like us. And that's why they did all of that, to throw us off.
If anyone's an alien, my money, if you had to, the betting favorite in
How did they go from that to if anybody's an alien? Sigourney Weaver, definitely.
Vegas would probably be Elon.
You think Elon?
Oh, did she? An alien? I thought he said in alien. Oh, my bad.
I think he'd be the betting favorite.
He might be mixed with alien.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Pair of idiots.
Yeah, I think he's.
Yeah, you're both idiots. Yeah, at this point. Yeah, good job this didn't make it
Go
to the live
smoke
show.
another bone with.
Yep. Suckle at the teat of the feast of nonsense. If that isn't a mixed metaphor, I don't know what is.
Like a hybrid.
That's fun. Not to be taken too seriously.
Isn't it about how they're softening the blow? Little by little, all these people come out because they're leaking it out that way.
I don't know, Neil. I don't know. I just want people to bum on microphones.
Should be saying, I just want the book to be finished and on the shelves, if there are shelves.
That's inevitable. It's going to happen. Eventually, it'll be finished, right?
So 2 months ago, when I said, "What do you think by the end of the summer?" You kind of like flipped. What? You crazy? No. Starting to look like that a little bit now.
Yeah. It's starting to. Anyway, are we doing it tonight? Anybody know?
Depends on Adam. Is Adam there?
I don't know.
Huey there?
I'm gonna ask Huey. Adam, you there?
I was Ballbusters. I missed it.
Yeah, it was good.
It was working.
Yeah, good.
Cover anything interesting?
Yeah, Huey. I mean, Chocolate. Huey put on an old. What was that video from 2008? Creation versus what do you call it? Evolution, whatever that is. And to me, it sounded like
And yes,
anything
I'm
but
still
God will
laughing.
work. Yeah, anything but God is okay. Talk about the Creator. We will not give you any financial support if you even mention creation. You get no financial support.
It's a weird one when you think about that. When you think about how intertwined science has been with religion, right? And it's weird that there's this divide right there. That you can't believe in creation on that side of the street, but on this side of the street, religion and science go hand in hand. It's kind of crazy.
Plus the fact that they don't know what science is, unless QE is wrong and, what we learned in school wasn't correct, and that science is not a method, that it's really pseudoscience that's the real thing.
My adapters came.
Yeah, see, your adapters. It's because of science that those adapters exist, that those microphones exist, that we're talking the way we are speaking to each other now. All because of science.
Thought it was because we're on a globe.
No, that would be TV, the plasma TV. Somebody told me that. It's only because you're on a globe that you're watching that plasma TV.
Wowzers.
Right. What should I do? I'm going to get a coffee. You guys capable of keeping the conversation going while I get prepared to sit in
I
front?
guess there's many times before, just go get your coffee and we'll be talking. You don't need, when you announce it, everybody clams up.
Okay, whatever.
Brian, so when we're putting this challenge out, did the video come out? And has it been accepted by any pilot anywhere?
Well, there might be a bit of background noise. Well, it's only gone out earlier in the year, so I don't know. But look, I only don't accept it or I'm a loser. Do you know what I mean? But if they really believe in the globe, do you know what I mean? If they really believe, then they'll give it a go. This is the thing, you see. This is like, there you go. There's a geometric way of proving it with an airplane. Off you go. It's going to fail. But hopefully, one of these absolute idiots will try it.
But listen, I remember me and you had conversation years ago, and you were telling me the best proof out there is flight. And I agreed with you because everybody at some point has gone on a plane and can understand the concept of flying flat over a flat surface and you're level. You leveled off most of the flight except for takeoff and descent, right?
Yeah, look, the thing about it is that the list effect, as I've gone through before, that proves it outright. But the problem with the list effect is that people don't want to learn about things. So you have to give them something simpler, something that's easier, something that they can be more lazy about. So a diagram of a triangle, that should do that. Here you go, triangle. You know what I mean? So the people we're dealing with, they don't want to give up. So we have to put them in basically life or death situation for them to realize it's not a globe. That's where I'm at. Like, they just will not accept. They keep coming up with nonsense. And then they try to avoid it, the rebuttal of that nonsense. So it's time for them to go and put themselves in a life and death situation. If it's a globe, they'll be fine. If it's not,
Nah,
they're going to have to pull up on that joystick.
nah, they're too busy trying to defend the 6 women who went into space.
Yeah, but when I understand what Brian's saying, right now it's put up or shut up, right? And they're having a battle with Cogdis big time. Don't put up or shut up. Get in that plane, Wolfie, and prove Earth is a globe.
I only brought that up because I saw that Twangles and Keegan had to make another video coming out to defend that Blue Origin crap. I watched maybe like the first 3-4 minutes of it. I turned it off, but it was so funny because I'm like, look at you again. The first thing he says, "Oh yeah, I made a video last week talking about the door and blah blah blah, door gate basically." And
Wait
now
a second.
here I am making another video trying to defend it again.
Wait, refresh my memory because wasn't he what was it called? The final experiment? It was supposed to be over after that. So what's all of these
Yeah,
new videos
yeah, it
coming
should have
out?
been. Yeah, it was supposed to be a wrap after that. I mean, it was supposed to be a wrap before that, but then more wrap after that. But apparently it's not a wrap because apparently their paradigm is trying to help them out, and it's not because they're coming out with what clearly looks like fakery and nonsense and staged events. So please keep doing it. Give the ballers something to do because that's what they have to do now, apparently. Because it just looks so bad, and they don't even have to do it against us. They have to do it against people in their own paradigm. That's the best thing about it.
Yeah, and then they fight with each other because now they're suing Katy Perry because now they're saying she deliberately opened the door to expose it. That space is fake. Didn't she get a visit from Neil deGrasse to straighten her out? No?
Yeah, something like that. Yep. Had
That
to
means
do emergency to the bat pole. get to her, convince her that no, it's not a flat plate. It's actually a globe.
oh
Maybe I should
no.
go back and find that.
That means
Just
Wiz
kind of
Khalifa.
review.
That means Wiz is going to be getting a visit soon.
You never know. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. Next interview. Oh, Neil Smoking the Grass Tyson sits down with Wiz Khalifa to explain to him how he's obviously wrong, even though earlier years ago he agreed with the same thing. Because if you're talking about 128,000 feet, that stuff is flat, and somebody's flying around at 35,000 feet, and what are you gonna say? It's not flat. So, hey, what? How are you gonna square that?
What's going on in Discord? Is the prick gone? Or is he still lingering around like we really care about him?
You talking about Henry Boy?
No, he's the other prick. I'm talking about the flat earth prick. At least I thought he was a flat earth, but who knows?
We should definitely, if you can get that video, Chocolate, from Dave McKeegan, we should have a look at it this evening. That'd be a bit of fun. I want to hear what, like, it's crazy that he's actually
the second one
to defend that. Yeah. Why is he going out of his way? Yeah, the second one. Why is he going out of his way to defend this? Oh, complete nonsense. Why are you doing that, Dave? It's like, there's no defending it.
Especially if it's on the up and up, right? It's all on the up and up. Why defend it? And it's funny because from what I heard, he did. Or from the little bit, don't quote me, but from the little bit that I listened to, he's not even talking to flat earthers. He's literally talking to his own people. Oh, well, at least you guys have something to do now. Yep, that's the help you get from your own paradigm. Let's not provide you any measurements of curvature, right? Let's just show you some CGI and women floating around and blowing flowers into cameras. Yep.
And then when that gets exposed, sue Katy Perry.
Hilarious how it's like all of a sudden her popularity is going down. People are not buying her tickets and shit. It's like, what the hell? This obviously was a bad thing to do. Apparently.
Can you hear background noise with me here?
A little bit, but you're good. You're fine.
A little bit.
Okay. Okay. What is the point? I just can't understand why Dave McKeegan is trying to defend this nonsense. Like, just don't even put your name to it. I mean, there's no defending it. You know what I mean? It's not defensible. I mean, Jeff Bezos even knows it's not defensible. I don't know what's up, like, I don't know where's Dave? I just can't believe that someone made a second video.
I mean, I don't know why it surprises you. He's an anti-flat earther, right? Jeff Bezos is out here, having to defend his shit. He's part of the paradigm, so he's just a regular normie, right? It's people like Triangles McKeegan who have given themselves the mission of defending this crap, becoming anti-flat earthers, and that's what they have to do. And if it helps even if they have to help their own side along, because I mean that's what the purpose of them is, right? They're not convincing any real flat earthers to go back to the globe. They're just there to coddle along their own fellow globe believers into not going to the flat earth direction, right? So that's what he's doing.
Well, don't forget Nick. Nick did turn, you know that guy Nick?
Nick the Greek? Who the hell's Nick?
I don't know. Duffy said a guy Nick after the big exodus.
Oh, the big Nick.
Nick.
Oh, let me go see if I can find the video and I'll post it and maybe we can play it and laugh or something when Nathan comes back from his 10-minute espresso thing.
And none of my adapters work either. I've ordered the wrong adapter or the adapter's wired up in a way that I wasn't expecting, which is a bit gutting. So I thought I'd be doing things and I'm not going to be. Oh well.
Okay, so then we can make fun of Triangles McKeegan as he steps out to defend again his Blue Origins nonsense.
Yeah, Dave McKeegan has made a second video on it. Why would you make a second? Why would you make even one? One is bad. But two, how can you defend that nonsense? There's no defending it. Nathan.
Yeah? Hold on, I'm just tied up doing something.
Yeah, you're going to have to join in here. Yeah, there's no, I don't know. Well, Chocolate, do you think it's possible that a lot of these people we're dealing with that are anti-flat earthers are actually behind the scenes just Scientologists?
Wow, that might be. I heard you say that the other day, and I've been thinking about that. I think you're onto something.
Well, the reason I say it is we're at this around here, this group of flat earthers are around 10 years now. And we're making more noise than the flat earthers ever did because of the internet, right? Basically. But I have not been addressed in any way, shape, or form, or come across, or heard of anyone else coming across a Scientologist. So is it possible that these mainstream anti-flat earthers, the reason they're so staunch is possibly because they're actually Scientologists? So they have even more invested in it than the average everyday person.
Well, I'd say definitely the celebrities, but you got me thinking about these anti-flat earthers that we deal with. Perhaps that's what it is. These guys
The
are
video.
freaking Scientologists.
Sorry, Neil. The video is in Skype, Master B.
I mean, the globe is a brainwashing, but we could have all got that brainwashing, right? Now, Neil deGrasse Tyson is a baller. I don't even know if I call him an anti-flat earther, but the way they behave, some of the anti-flat earthers, they're more akin to people who have been extra brainwashed, which is what would happen to you in Scientology. That's what they do. They brainwash people in Scientology. Like you look at any of the footage of the Scientologists and how they deal with someone who leaves their cult. I mean, they start hounding the person. Like you try leaving the ball, being one of them and trying to leave the ball, or you're in trouble. They're going to be everywhere. Do you know what I mean? They're going to be on your phone, on the internet, looking for you, trying to convince you to come back. Like these people are extreme in such a way that I'm starting to think that they're more than just believers in the globe.
Which is a hell of a thing, right? You know that's what would happen if one of the decided to go flat Earth, right? But like when you have one of them, like I don't know, say Planet Walk, who decides that he wants to go female or whatever, which is cool. That's his decision if that's what he wants to do. But then all his boys come out and support that. It's like, oh, we support your choice and blah blah blah. Would it be the same if he just decided he didn't live on a ball? Would you still support his choice? Yeah. No, you wouldn't.
Absolutely not. If he decided
absolutely not.
Before you know it, he'd be enemy number one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, they would come out with videos talking about how he was wrong. He's wrong, and maybe he got influenced by one of us, and it would be all types of shit. But it wouldn't be that. Oh, we support this guy who wants to believe now he's a girl. We support that.
Well, he wouldn't dare. None of these people would even dare. They'd be too scared to do that. It's like as if there's a bigger fear behind them. Like, is Tom Cruise breathing down the necks of these people? Are they under pressure from Tom? Because he's an intense fella, that Tom Cruise. Like, imagine hanging out with him and he's the boss, and you start going against him.
No,
I mean,
you have
not us
problems if
now.
you go. You cannot go against Tom Cruise. You will be blackballed
Are you
from
saying
Hollywood.
Tom Cruise is the globe boss?
Well, he's a big
He's the
Scientologist.
Scientology boss. He's the boss of Scientology now. Your man, Mac Savage or McCavage or whatever his name is, stepped aside. So Tom Cruise is now the big boss of Scientology. So maybe Tom Cruise is the globe boss. Have you come across a Scientologist in all your years in this chocolate? I never have.
No, it's a total contradiction. You can't be a Scientologist and then declare the Earth is flat.
But the thing is that the fact that Scientologists did not turn up, and this topic absolutely ruins them. Like, we would be the biggest, our group here would be the biggest threat to Scientology that ever existed. Right? No, there'd be no threat bigger than what we are doing.
We are.
Because, yeah, we are. Because the thing is that we don't have to even address them directly or focus on them at all. It's just by the fact that they're related to the globe, they're going down. Do you know what I mean? They're like, there's no way out of it. The globe's going down, so they're going down. So we are their biggest threat, without a doubt. So, and because we never hear from these people, I've never met a Scientologist in 10 years in this arena. Never came across one at all. So it's a point of a bit strange considering we are the absolute nuclear bomb for them.
Brian, I think that's why they tried pushing that pancake in space nonsense. You know?
You never know what could happen though, because but I remember years ago saying, where are all the flat earthers who think the earth is rising upwards? Where are they? I've never actually heard that as an argument.
True.
And all of a sudden they started popping up.
Dun, 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 dun. Here comes Del. Enter.
Up and away.
Yeah, but if any Scientologists turn up now, then you know what I mean? It's very obvious what's going on.
That's why I'm pointing it out. That's why I'm pointing that one out. Sorry.
Brian, I think they're hoping that it gets dealt with. So I know they have to have a close eye on this, though. Believe me, they're not caught in the dark.
Let's just say MC Toon and Craig McNeil and whoever, Dave McKeegan, the usual faces. Let's say they may not be Scientologists, but they're getting paid by Scientology. I mean, because Scientology they're not poor.
Oh no, they are very wealthy.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta admit, it's a strong possibility. That's like making sense now. They got a hold of Jaron, too, and gave him a big amount of money.
Why don't you say something on the topic, Nathan, now that we are hearing your voice?
Well, I'm actually just testing if this microphone works. This is a Grundig, but it looks like it's got a hell of a lot of background noise. Vintage microphone. How does this actually sound? Terrible. Hello?
It sounds I mean, not as clean as your other one.
Yeah, I can see it's got a hell of a lot of background noise. But anyway, this is the sound of a Grundig, a British microphone from the 1950s. Very, very old.
That explains it.
Yeah? How does it sound?
Like around the 50s.
Thanks.
Give us a BBC radio quote.
This is the BBC television service.
Perfect.
Dude, I hear a loud buzzing when you speak, Nathan.
Yeah, I think it's probably broken. Anyway, this is how it sounds.
It's broken. We doing the book today?
Yeah, I should hope so.
What time?
A couple of hours from now. 6 o'clock.
The 12 o'clock? My 12?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
And it's 10 o'clock right now. Go ahead and get them together and then buzz me. All right?
Yeah. Well.
Huh?
No.
No.
Huh? Hello? What? What up, Kiwi?
Yeah. Your sister's ankles?
Yep. They're not tired yet? What the hell, man?
Huey, did you hear one of your favorite musicians is a flat earther?
Shut up. Shut up. So I'm
They won't hear
gonna
me.
take off, man.
Hey, Adam.
Is that it, Adam?
Yeah, you can.
We can, Adam. Are you locked in the press?
I'm just in the car having a car wash because my car just got battered with bird shit. So I've nipped out in my lunch hour, which is at fucking 4 o'clock, to get the bird shit off. But I was just to say I'll probably be back about 6:15.
Okay,
I
perfect.
was going to say, did you buy one of Nathan's busted mics?
I don't know why this is
That
so bad.
time-
I mean,
What does that mean? How long from now?
2
Is that
hours.
right? Is
2
that
hours,
better?
2 hours 20.
Yeah, 2.5 hours. I'll be back.
So my 12:30. Okay, somebody get in touch with Flatsy. Yeah, you got that covered, Nathan? So I can leave?
Yeah, no worries. I'll get in touch.
All right. Hey, Adam, buzz me at 12:30.
Or can someone get in touch with Flatsy?
I'll send her a message.
Thank you very much.
Now, is that 12:30 Central Time? That's our time, right? Alabama?
Yes. Yes.
10-4.
10-4. What about 25-6?
25 or 64. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not singing.
More's the pity. Because I love when you sing.
I got
Right, looks like we're going to have to round out then. With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.